All right, so we're going to go through this morning kind of the overview, a reminder, a recast of the Cherry Tree Sunday School structure. We're going to talk about the 5 areas of leadership, and we're specifically going to focus on the mission leader there. And when we do that part, John's going to jump up here and take over and talk, because this is kind of the beginning of some vision casting from the staff to you all for what we believe God is doing this year and well beyond. And so we're specifically going to focus on that this morning. But before we get there, so a couple things just real quick. Cherry Tree is the Sunday school structure, the setup, the way that we lay things out, the way that we plan things at First Baptist. And again, just briefly, for those of you that don't know, we started this, we cast this vision, this idea in 2018 was the first time. And then we went back through it a couple times. But when we originally laid this out in 2018, the reason that we call it Cherry Tree, there's a couple in this church that was in this church for decades, Dennis and Irene Cherry, and they really kind of launched, without knowing it at the time, this idea, this structure, this format of what Sunday school looks like, and how, and it just took off, and it grew, and it expanded, and it was pretty powerful. And so, in honor of them, that's why the name. And so there's a lot more to that, but that's not really the reason for this morning. But I did want to give you that background there. So here is kind of the statement, overarching, and you'll notice the red words are the FBC core values. So the Cherry Tree or Sunday school structure, it's our hope that Sunday school strategy will thoroughly and effectively accomplish the FBC core values of prayer, love, growth, life, and leadership. And it will obviously aid in our understanding of reach, function, and worship as well. So you guys have begun to hear about those 8 core values a lot. John talks about them from the pulpit. You should really hear them and see them through all things at FBC. And so that's just kind of an overview there. So our goal, Sunday school, will be the heartbeat of who we are in discipleship and missions. And again, the reason we added the missions in there is because this morning you're going to begin to hear more about that. But it's really going to be, and it really is, the heartbeat of FBC, and it has been for decades. The needs within this, there are 5 key leadership positions in each one of your Sunday school classes. 4 of those 5, you within your class are responsible for finding, and we'll talk about that here in a moment. The 5th one is the teacher, and we will talk about how that plays in. But each class will choose a leader for 4 of the 5 areas, and I'll talk with you about that at the very end today before we leave. Classes of 25 or more, you're going to have a few extras, and again, I'll hit on that, but you're going to need, just because of the size of your class, you're going to need more Inreach and outreach leaders in your group. All right, so we're going to jump in. The first leadership area that we're going to talk about is missions. And like I said, John is going to share this one with you, so I'm going to turn it over to him for a moment.
All right, some of y'all have been making fun of my get-up today. We are doing a Western-themed Valentine's banquet tonight. It was my excuse to dress up like I used to at home. So this is the way I like to do that. So it was my excuse. As we're looking at missions, we want to talk to you all about 4 major areas. One is local, one is regional, one is domestic, and one is international. When we do that, you may say, well, what are those words to the side? That's from Acts chapter 1, verse 8, where it talks about us being his witness in Jerusalem, Judea, Samaria, and the uttermost. And so when we look at those ideas, that's where that comes from scripturally. We believe that we are responsible for doing all of those things. As we're going on, we also know that the Sunday school in this church specifically is really the heartbeat of everything that we do. It's the heartbeat of driving the real relationships and driving those things home and through. And so those things are very important. So when we look at this, we'll have one missions coordinator per Sunday school classroom. What those people will do are laid out right here. They'll lead the Sunday school class to select a missions focus. What you'll notice is our church has about 8 partnerships. It's our goal to have 2 partnerships per each one of those areas: Jerusalem, Judea, Samaria, and the uttermost. Or you may say local, regional, domestic, and international. And so we want the Sunday school coordinator to interact with their Sunday school class, and in that moment, have the opportunity to kind of discuss and say, what are we as a Sunday school feeling compelled to do? Obviously, we want you to pray for every area, but it may be that you all will say, hey, we as a Sunday school class want to go on this particular trip. And in doing so, it'll fall onto us together as a class better, but also we can serve in some way. It may be that you say, hey, we can't go a whole lot right now, but what we're going to do is we're going to raise funds to send 2 people to our mission in synagogue. Whatever that is, that way you all as a Sunday school class can kind of pray through that and find what the Spirit's convicting you all to do, and then work together in that way. Another thing that the missions coordinator is going to do is to lead the Sunday school class to choose which support methods. We've already addressed that a little bit. You'll attend some mission team meetings. Now, this is something that we're going to talk about here in just a second, but they'll be coming to meetings alongside our missions committee. Then you'll communicate the missions opportunities to the class regularly, where you're going back and telling your class, hey, here's what's going on in the church overall, where the people in the Sunday school class can know, here's what we need to be praying about, here's who we need to be praying for, here are the upcoming events, here are the concerns. That way everybody's on the same page and can understand what's going on. Now, what I want us to understand is kind of how this structure will work. And so this is a little bit of a flow chart here. I'm going to ask Brandon Martin, who is the chairman of our missions committee. You all may or may not know him, but I love him. I had an opportunity to take him through one-on-one with God. He served on the staff at First Baptist there for a long time, works in a particular role where he does things internationally and has a huge heart for missions on that level. And so we've just asked him to serve in that capacity. When we look at that, what I want you to see is that the missions pastor, who that's going to be right now, that's Daniel. We're working through that process. He's our interim, but we're working through that process to find somebody who's full-time or how to work that out. So that person will be communicating with the missions team chair, which we're talking about Brandon, or whenever he rotates off committee, whoever the next person will be. And then the missions team, that is the people who are the missions coordinators from each of the Sunday school classes as they come together. And they'll be all working together and communicating what the needs are. What I've asked him to do is communicate with us who on his team they are as far as the coordinators. So tell us who those people are, Brandon.
Yeah. So if you are on the missions committee, I'm going to have you stand up. Nicole Riggs, Ben Edgar, Jacob Brassfield, Cindy Roseman, and Langdon Harris. So
hold on, you guys got to keep standing.
Keep standing up. Stand up.
Hey, Jacob and Nicole, come this way so people can see you all.
They're in the back of the room. So get familiar with those faces. So right now, if you look at this chart, the local person right now, if you are interested in getting involved in our local ministries, Nicole Riggs is our champion for that ministry. Nicole, put your hand up. Next, our regional champion is Ben Edgar. Ben, if you put your hand up, if you're interested in getting involved in what we're doing regionally, talk to Ben. Our domestic champion is Jacob Brassfield. So if you're interested in that stuff going on, talk to Jacob. And then international is Cindy Roseman. If you're interested in what we have going on as a church internationally, talk to Cindy. And then Langdon is part of the team. His job is to be the floater and push all of them.
Awesome. So thank you all, Missions Committee. We appreciate that. What we're trying to do with that is really elevate that committee to where people know who they are, and where if you have a compelling conviction that you know who to go to and begin to move some of those things forward. We're trying to stay focused on our missions projects. At the same time, we need to hear from you if the Holy Spirit's leading you in a direction, because if that happens in enough people, they need to know it so we can move in that direction as well. So that's kind of what's going on there with our missions. That's how we're trying to tie them in with the body as a whole. Let me share with you, I can stand up here and I can preach, but if it's not the body as a whole that is leading and walking out those convictions, then it's really worthless. And so what we're really trying to do is drive this where it's from the church, where it's more of a grassroots, where it's our identity, who we are that are trying to pull this off. So Brandon, thank you for running that through the cherry tree as well.
Perfect. And so, as he was saying, on the bottom of that, you guys, part of your action step in this will begin to, when you go back to your Sunday school classes, you can pick all 4 of them if you want, that'd be awesome. But specifically, picking one that your Sunday school class wants to focus on, whether that's let's say that's the local mission, then you would go and you would interact specifically with Nicole and try to figure out what's available there, that kind of thing. Ideally, there are currently, there are currently 17 adult Sunday school classes, and then the 4 youth classes that are in here. So ideally, it would be nice to balance that out a little bit to where all 4 areas have, 2 or 3, where we don't have 12 of you in the local and then 1 in each of the other 3. I know that's not the correct math, but you get the idea. So as we begin to pick those and talk through those, you can contact Brandon or anybody on that missions team. Hey, here's who we're thinking, myself, Pastor John, and we'll begin to keep record of those and work that out to where we're fairly balanced. All right, so we're going to talk about the other 4 areas of leadership within the cherry tree structure and just give you kind of the same idea, the responsibilities of each of those. And as we're going through this, I want you to be thinking about from your class which one or ones you might be interested in, so that when you go back together next Sunday, you can begin to talk about this. Teachers that we're going to talk about first. Again, this is one that you all are already in play and already serving in this role, and I'm going to ask you to help facilitate this process with your class. So you also need to be thinking through this as we go through here and be like, I know so-and-so would be great in this area, and encourage them to walk in that. So we're gonna go through each one of these. The teacher, and we'll go through this one quickly because you guys are already in these roles, but we'll lead, walk with, and pray for the class members. That is the biggest responsibility, honestly, as the leader, as the teacher. You're gonna prepare diligently for the lesson weekly. So each week, however your process is, whether you do that every day, a little bit at a time, whether you do that early Sunday morning, your process there, but make sure that you're studying that. You're going to deliver God's truth to the class every week after you have spent time studying it. So again, pretty basic, pretty straightforward, and you all are already in play. Most of the classes have multiple teachers, and so if the main teacher isn't there that week, then someone else can step up. If those needs come up, or somebody in your class wants to help lead by teaching some, come and talk to me about that, or send them to talk to me. Myself and the nominating team is who works on making sure that every class has the needed teachers and that kind of thing. So the next one is the class director, and so this person, responsibility-wise, is to direct the class in prayer. And I know this one, some of it is going to overlap with the teacher, and you're going to probably think, well, I as the teacher do a lot of that, which is fine, but the idea behind the class director is to take some of that responsibility off of your shoulders so that you can focus on studying the lesson, teaching the lesson, and that be your core focus. And so the class director is going to, beginning of the class, end of the class, whenever you do it, spend some time talking about what are the prayer needs, how can we meet these, and lead the class in prayer as well is a point there. Be responsible for weekly class announcements. So again, this is something you can take off the shoulder of the teacher and just know what's happening through the emails that I send out, through the cherry tree structure, through the bulletin, through the announcements on Sunday, all the different ways that we communicate those to you. Your responsibility would be making sure your Sunday school class knows, hey, this Sunday night is the Valentine's banquet at South Campus at 5 o'clock. Those kind of things. Serve as a substitute for the teacher. When we originally started this in 2018, this was one of the primary roles of the class director. Honestly, a lot of the class directors were the substitute or the backup teacher, which is a great fit. It doesn't have to be that way, but it is a good fit. So you can be the class director and still not wear that hat as a substitute teacher. That's fine, but in most classes, that's how it worked out. You would serve in that role. And then this is a big one, and begin class on time. And believe me, I know it's relative speaking to what class you're a part of and where you are. Some of the classes, like if you're not there at 9:15, the door's shut and you're going to have to interrupt the class to get in to go there. Some of the classes, it's 9:30 and they're still having breakfast and talking. And so I get it, like it's life, okay? But at the same time, the class director is the one that's, you know, the teacher has spent his or her time studying and preparing for a lesson and ready to give it. And so just be that person. It's like, hey, we're going to get rolling. You can keep eating or you can keep doing whatever, but we're going to get this going. So class director, 1 per class. Next is the Inreach Leader. And this person, you see on each one of them, I put a core value focus. This person's core value focus would be love, which is fellowship, which is like the interaction within the class. And so here's some of the responsibilities of the Inreach Leader. Communicate class needs. And when I say that, I'm thinking of there's a person in your class that's been in the hospital recently, or they just had a baby, or whatever that need is that you know is there that they may or may not share with you. Just letting your Sunday school class know that that's a need and how we can help to reach that need. There's the second one. Ensure the members' needs are met. So again, I'm thinking people within your Sunday school class that come every week, that are involved, that are there. This is what they need, and this is how we can help them. Okay? It's a huge part of Sunday school at FBC. And honestly, you guys do a great job of this one, but I think it's an important reminder. See that attendance is taken. This doesn't mean that you have to be the one that takes attendance. Because I know some of you, like I have 1 or 2 people, 2 or 3 people in every class currently that has the app and has the credentials to be able to take attendance. If you need someone else in your class to do that, you can contact me and I'll make that happen, or Carrie can. But this person, again, doesn't have to be the one that takes attendance, but please make sure that it is taken. So if I'm in the class and Michaela's the one that actually takes the attendance, but I'm the Inreach Leader, I just want to make sure that she's on top of it and getting it taken each week. It's real simple. It's a real simple process, and as soon as you submit that attendance, we see it. I can see it, and the ladies in the office can see it, and we know that it's there and in play. And then lastly, email the office a weekly report. And this doesn't have to be weekly. Some of you are really good at doing it weekly. Some of you do it once a month. But when I say email the office, you can email me. So I'm going to give you the rundown of what the email addresses at FBC look like. It's our first name, last initial at westplainsfirst.org, and it's all spelled out. So Brandon H. at westplainsfirst.org. You can also send that email to Sunday School at westplainsfirst.org, and there's multiple ones of us that get that. And when I say that, it may not be weekly because you may not have needs within your class that need to be communicated to the office. But if there's stuff going on in your class that you feel like the pastoral staff needs to know about, this would be the way to do it. Send us an email. And some of you do, I'm going to pick on a class here. There's one particular class, a few, but one that does a great job with this is the Victory class. And I believe it's Lisa Raffia that runs that. But pretty much every week, I know what's happening in that class as far as their prayer needs, just what's going on, because they have a prayer list that they send out via email, and I'm on that. And so, or Sunday School at West Plains First is on that. And so we just know what's happening there. That's a benefit to that one. So Inreach, you need 1 person to do that or more, depending on your class size. Some of you classes that are larger, it might be helpful to have 2 or 3 people that work together to do this. And that way, if one's not there one week, that kind of thing, it's beneficial. Outreach. This is the next one. This one, core value focus, is also love, but it's going to be a little bit of a different target audience than the Inreach. So outreach, think about this person is the one, or people are the ones in the class who, when a visitor comes to your class, you make sure that they feel welcome. You're there to answer any questions that they have. What time is service? Like, what is this the class I need to be in? Is that where do my kids need to go? Those kind of things. And I have lots of tools, resources that you can use that once I know who the outreach leaders are, that I can get to you, that will show you those things, like a layout of all the Sunday school classes and where they are and what demographic they are, service times, upcoming events, those kind of things. You're basically just an outreach arm to the visitor in your Sunday school class. You're going to coordinate a connection with that visitor. And so, again, it doesn't have to be you. If I'm the outreach leader, and I'll just keep picking on Michaela, and she's in my class, and I feel like she has that gift and that ability to be able to be that person that goes out and loves on new people in our class, then I'm going to get that information to Michaela and ask her to make a contact with that person to make sure they had a good week, make sure they know they're invited back, those kind of things. Just a way to love on. So it doesn't have to be you that does that, but I want you as the outreach leader to coordinate that connection. There's what I just talked about, but extend a personal invitation for the next week. And again, that's a phone call, a text message, an email, a Facebook message, whatever communication you believe would be beneficial to that person. I want you to reach out and make sure they know they're welcome next week. And then kind of the same idea here. If there is information in that you believe we need in the office, pastoral staff, the ladies in the office, and use the same resource, the same email to be able to send to us and say, hey, so-and-so visited last week. They have 2 kids in this age group they'd be great to reach out to for roots on Wednesday night, or whatever, that type of information that the outreach person can coordinate. Again, 1 to 3 in this range would be perfect to have, to be able to make that function. So that is the 5 areas of leadership within the structure. And so here's kind of here's your to-do list, your action points. I want you to work on choosing your leaders in those those 4 positions that we talked about outside of the teacher, and get those to me or the church office by 2 weeks from today. So you've got a couple weeks to work on that. I want the teacher to help me to facilitate this process. And some of you are going to be like I'll use the victory class again. Lisa Rothgeb is their Inreach person. Maybe she wants to keep doing that. That's awesome. That's perfect. Let her, that's great. But still contact me and say, hey, here's our list. Here's our Inreach, here's our outreach, here's our class director, and here's our missions people like we talked about earlier. So some of your classes may completely turn over and you have all new people in different roles. Some of them it may stay the same that you've had forever. Some of the classes are new enough that you probably haven't even really done this yet. And so this will be new to you. But I want you as a class to work on filling these roles and what they look like. If you need help, if you need resources from me, call me, text me, email me, whatever, and I'll work to get what you need to make this happen. But once I get this, then those of you that receive the Cherry Tree email every week or every other week or so, updates and announcements and things like that, that's the reason you get it, is because you're in one of those 5 areas of leadership that I currently have. So I'll update that list and rearrange it as needed, and you will start getting those emails or continue getting those emails. Anybody have any questions on any of that? Before I have a couple announcements that we're going to talk about. Nothing? Okay, teachers, again, or class directors, substitute teachers, that role, I'm going to ask you to help me to make sure you facilitate this and get this list to me, whether you do it or whether you have your class director, your Inreach, whatever, but get that information to me, to the church office within the next 2 weeks would be perfect, so that I can begin to update those. All right. So now we're going to switch gears just a little bit and talk about a couple things that I want to give you updates on before we go to service. And so the first one up there, FBC's renovation plans. So back in November, the church approved the hiring of an architectural firm to begin to analyze the facility and look at our current needs, our current space, and then our current needs and our future needs and what that might look like. And so you all, in a business meeting of the church, made that motion, voted, and approved it unanimously. And so we began, myself, the rest of the staff, and the pastoral staff, and then the space team that's been put together. And we chose a business called BRP Architects. That is Butler, Rosenberry, and Partners, is what BRP stands for. And they're out of Springfield, Missouri. And so we have been working with them now since, I don't remember, we had the initial meeting with them in December, and then Christmas and New Year's, and so we kind of took a little bit of a gap there. But I've had multiple meetings with them, and then I've been meeting with our small core group on our space team and kind of giving them updates, and of course the pastoral staff as well. But I'll kind of tell you where we're at with them. I gave them all the blueprints that I could find of this building from all the way back in the 60s, all the way through around 2000, and they took all those with them, and they began to process that, and they have completed a digital conversion of that, so they now have the full layout of our entire facilities in digital form from those, and have begun to look at things like building codes and different things like that. They've asked for a survey that's been done for them as well of just the layout of the place. They've called me or met with me a few times about, hey, is that really there? Is that really a bathroom? Those kind of questions to verify some things. And then last week, they gave me, we had another Zoom meeting, and they gave me a few ideas that they had. So they shared their screen with me, laid out our facility, and said, hey, we could move this here, we could rearrange some of those kind of things. And so we began that dialogue. I expect within the next 2 weeks that they will have some of those firm ideas that they can give to us that I will share with the staff and the small space team. And then we can begin to at least see, again, these aren't images, these are literally just drawings of the new hallway here, this room's laid out this way, but they're beginning to work on what that would look like. And they know all of our needs and all of our wants in this. And so it's kind of where we're at right now. My plan is to give you all a monthly, if not more often, update on where we are with this process as we move through. And so that's just kind of in a nutshell what it looks like right now. It's still very early stages, but there's 2 architects there that we're working with and planning through this. So expect within the next month to hear another update. And I would say hopefully within about 60 days, we should be able to start having stuff that you all can visually see. Hey, this is ideas of what this could look like. Have actual pictures and models that you can begin to see. This could potentially be what we do at FBC. And so again, just an update there. You can check out, those guys have done Crossway Baptist in Springfield. They've done every one of their renovations or additions, and multiple other churches as well, but that's probably been their biggest. If you know Crossway, if you're familiar with that church in Springfield, it's rather large. And so really, really good group of guys. Any questions on that? Thoughts? Okay. The last thing I want to talk to you about is curriculum plans. And when I say that, I mean within Sunday school. So somebody asked me this morning, hey, have you all started to cast the vision that God has given you for FBC for the next few years? Have I missed that? And the short answer that I gave her was no. But the beginning of that foundation is this morning. So what you heard from John and from Brandon as far as missions and what that's looking like is going to be a huge part of what you're going to hear about for the next few years at FBC. You all approved again last year to hire a missions pastor, to call a missions pastor. So we're in the process of looking at that, beginning to work with that missions team. So what you're hearing us say is missions is going to be a huge part of the next few years and what you hear. Everything from For the City, you're going to continue to hear about that and what that looks like, and the meal that serves with that, and all the different things that go on there. And so part of how we're going to share this vision, there's going to be multiple avenues. It's, like I said, kind of started this morning. You're going to hear it from the pulpit. There's going to be videos made of Pastor John and Daniel and different ones that will be put out and available. We're also going to use the Sunday school platform to do this. And so teachers, don't be frightened right now as you see some of that up there, because when I say lessons, different lessons, this is going to take us out of whatever you're currently doing, and we're going to prepare these for you. They're going to be pretty straightforward. It's basically 2 sheets of paper, and it is scripture, and it is talking points, and it's been written by Pastor John, and it relates directly to the vision casting. Our goal, actually our plan, was to have the first one of these for you this morning, but with the last few days and the weather the way it's been, we didn't make that happen. But we will, the beginning of this week, I will get these to you one way or the other, whether I deliver it to you in hand or I email it to you or whatever, you will have these. And again, it's not going to be a lot of prep on your part. It is written out and laid out for you where you can almost just talk through it there. So it's not, we're not giving you a scripture and saying, hey, teach on this. You've got to do a whole bunch of legwork. He has done a lot of the work for you. But it's going to be 3 lessons. During the Sunday school hour, we're going to ask all teachers to teach this. Austin is going to teach it here as well with the youth. And then we're going to have some condensed versions for the kiddos as well. That'll kind of be in the same realm. And so you're going to go through that. There are going to be some short videos with it, and we still haven't completely ironed that out if it's going to be like a video every week that you'll watch, or if it's just going to be, as you can see up there at the very bottom point, we're going to come back together in here on March the 6th, so a month from now, and Pastor John is going to lead us that hour. He's going to teach on this idea, this vision, planning, again, mission focused very, very highly. And that'll be kind of the finale, so to speak, of these lessons. And so, yes, you are going to take a little bit of a break in whatever current curriculum you're doing. Some of the classes that teach with multiple teachers, you guys can choose however you want to do that. If one guy, one lady wants to lead the whole thing, if you want to take turns. But again, it's going to be very straightforward, very laid out for you to work through. And so I will get those to you ASAP. It's all written, it's all there. Our goal was at the end of this last week was to, for lack of a better word, beautify it, make it look pretty. Because it was literally just a front and back sheet of paper of our notes and things like that. And we just didn't, with closing the office and a few things, that just didn't happen at the end of this week. And so we will get those to you. I will tell you those lessons they're very straightforward. Like I said, it's very laid out for you, but they're kind of heavy as well. The book of James, different areas. There's some stuff in there that is kind of like Pastor John's sermons have been recently. Like this is what God's word says, and we know it. Now we need to be doing it. And but it's good stuff. It really is. And so, if you have any questions on that, we're going to end here a few minutes early, and so you're welcome to have more donuts or coffee or whatever's back there that's left, and you're welcome to come find myself and me, and we'll talk through what that looks like if you have questions about that. All right? Okay. Anything at all, question-wise, as far as maybe in front of the whole group that you want to ask, comment that you want to make? I see a hand way back there, but I can't tell who it is. Oh, it's Rich. I see you now. The sun was shining behind you. Okay, yes. So I'll just do it this way. If you are on FBC's space team, and so that could be the group of, there's 4 or 5 of you that meet with Pastor John and I once a month, and then there's a larger group that met with BRP once a few weeks back. If you are a part of that, either one of those teams, will you please stand up for a moment so that we can point out those of you that are here. I know Jim Brill's here, Kenny Hanshaw, Jim and Lisa Brassfield, Daniel, all the pastoral staff is on there as well. Is that everybody? Okay, thank you guys. There's also, so the group that meets with John and I on a monthly basis is myself, Jim Brill, Kenny Hanshaw. Oh, Greg, you were already standing. Greg Simpkins is back there. He's a part of that team. And then Rob Hawkins is the other one. And that's the group that we meet once a month at least and discuss that. And then the larger group, those that were in here, and I'll miss somebody, I'm sure. Dustin and Andrea Harris are on there. Who else? Help me, guys. Russ and Laura Gant are on there. The pastoral staff, so Mr. P, Austin, John, Steve. I can't think of anybody else right now. I'm sure there is another one or two. It's about 20 people on the full group, but that gives you an idea. So if you have questions or comments about the building process, the renovation, that kind of thing, you can see myself or one of those ladies and gentlemen that just stood up. Any other questions? Okay, perfect. I'm going to ask Austin, will you come up here and close us in prayer?
Okay, let's pray. God, we are grateful that we have you as the sustainer of the universe and as someone who knows us and loves us. God, you are someone that is currently keeping Saturn in orbit, but yet you hear our prayers. And God, we're so grateful that we have a big God that we can come to. Father, we also are thankful that we have this fellowship for the people that are sitting and standing around us. God, thank you for your church and the way that you've designed it, the way that you've given us people to lean on in tough times and celebrate in exciting times with. And God, in this church family, we are so grateful for Sunday school. God, please bless our church as we have been intentional about planning and the way we communicate, the way that we operate in Sunday school and as a church fellowship. God, give us the ability to not just have a good plan, but to execute that plan. Give us a drive and a determination to carry out what we've discussed today, not so that we can just be efficient or so that we can just communicate well, but so that your name can be proclaimed in this community. God, we love you. We praise you. And it's in your name I pray. Amen. Real quick, before y'all leave, I know John has mentioned it with his Western attire, and Pastor Brandon's mentioned it too, but tonight at 5 o'clock, we'd love for all of you to come back right here. We're having our 4th annual Valentine dinner. We're going to have a lot of fun. We've got county fair style food that we're going to be offering. There's no cost to get in. There will be opportunities for you to leave a donation for the students who are serving, but don't feel obligated to do that. We want you to just come and enjoy the night of fellowship. Like I said, that's tonight at 5 p.m. right here. We'll be having a few games that are involving Echo Student Ministry and Western things. I'm not going to give it all away. And then to end the night, we're actually going to have a square dance. We're going to move a few of the tables, and we have professional square dance scholars who are going to come and set up, and they're going to teach us how to do this. And I really, really think we're going to have a lot of fun doing this together as a group. So come enjoy it. If you're not a valid dancer, enjoy the show, because I'm sure it will be entertaining to watch as well as do. So really, come join us. I know a lot of us have been in the house for about a week, and this will be a great opportunity to get out and enjoy time fellowshipping with your church family. So we'll see you tonight, hopefully at 5. Brandon, what else do you have?
The only other thing would be if some of your class missed this and you want to have that, Austin has had these set up and we've recorded this, and so it'll be available for you to hear that way. And then, like I said, we've got a few minutes here before service, so come find me and any questions or comments, let's talk through that. So thank you all for being here this morning, and see you at service shortly.